In this segment, we get practical. Ideal body weight, dental disease, fish oil, protein, muscle mass. We discuss how small early decisions affect longevity, and how even anesthesia for senior dental can literally give them more life. This is proactive medicine at its best.
Yeah.
What is your number one go-to when a pet is defined as senior? What's your first step as far as, I guess from a veterinary standpoint, as far as a medical protocol?
Yeah. Fish oil, I love. I think that's one of my very first things, obviously covering the basis of like, are they an ideal weight? Do they have dental disease? Is there anything glaringly obvious on physical exam we need to take care of? But other than that, I do typically talk about fish oil fairly early on because we know it's good for heart health, it's good for kidney health, it's good for GI health, it's great for arthritis. So making sure they're getting enough. And then protein, I think, is very important too, because sarcopenia or muscle wasting is very prevalent in dogs and cats as they get older. So we know there is a direct correlation to muscle wasting and time of death. There is a direct correlation.
Both human world and pet world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if they have muscle wasting, they're going to pass sooner. So I think it's very important for us to make sure they're getting enough protein. Senior dogs need almost 2 times as much protein when they become seniors, 1.5 times as much usually. And senior cats typically do need a little bit more as well. So, altering to a senior diet specific, or just making sure we're calculating that they're getting enough protein and we're helping them exercise so we're not having that muscle wasting, because that's a huge thing that will change their life.
What is something that triggers you in an exam room with a client? So for example, I get this a lot. Well, they're like 14, that. Oh, they're getting old. They really want to do stuff like that. So what sort of things would trigger you, and then what kind of response would you get? Because I always say, age is not a disease, right? That's one of my favorite sayings.
I think dental care is a big one that gets me, because everyone thinks, and I do feel like some people have been told by, whether it be vets, groomers, whatever it is, that like when they're 12 years old, oh, you shouldn't do a dental because like it's very scary.
Yeah, the anesthetic risk.
Right,
Yeah,
and the anesthesia risk does go up. It does go up about 7 times as much, but that still is under 1% of a risk. So it's still very low. And is it worth your pet living in chronic pain? There's, 80% of dogs have dental disease by the time they're 3. So if you're talking about a 13-year-old, I've done full mouth extractions on a dog that the owners wanted to euthanize because they said he just doesn't have a good quality of life. I said, please, please, please just let me do this dental and we'll see what happens. And they came back and they were like, he's 5 years younger, has no teeth, gums, everything, is doing the best. And he was Jack Russell. So he was like 17, but he could probably live to 23, right? So it's amazing what people's perception of certain things is, and saying like dental disease affects everything. It affects their heart. We know now it affects the gut microbiome. It affects, their chronic pain. It's the second highest cause of chronic pain in senior pets. So it affects a lot of organs. And I think it's very important for us to not gloss over that just because they're older. They can definitely go under anesthesia. There are things we need to look for. We need to make sure we're monitoring their, they're not getting hypothermic or having a low temperature or anything like that. But there are very safe protocols that we can use. And yes, there's risk benefit to every anesthetic procedure, but a lot of those situations, it's worth it to me. So I think dental disease is a big one. And then, just like the concept of when I go into an exam room, I don't feel like there's enough of a conversation about what does arthritis look like and what does dementia look like. And as veterinarians, we're not doing a good job of that, I feel like, because we don't have the time, right? So our exams are cut to 15 to 30 minutes. By the time we get in there and start talking to the pet parents, it's 5 to 10 minutes. We have to do an exam and give vaccines and do whatever else we need to do.
Yeah, we had 8 minutes to get everything done.
So we don't have the time. But at the same time, every time I go into a senior pets exam, I try to like snipe those when I work in relief, if I can, and go into them. And it's like, okay, is he hesitating to go up the stairs? Like when he gets up in the morning, is he stretching a little bit more? Is he like lagging behind on walks? Is he, and cats, are they like not really jumping up anymore? Are they kind of like kitty loafing as opposed to like doing the stretch out thing, And it's very simple, but a lot of times, 90% of the time I would say, pet parents go, oh yeah. Or like with dementia, you say, okay, are they like, is the cat like wandering and yowling the house at night now? Or is like your dog getting up and wandering around more? Do they seem lost? Do they seem confused? Do they not really hold your gaze anymore? That type of stuff. And people go, oh, like the light bulb clicks. And it's like they just didn't know what to look for. So I think we have to do a better job of that. And I think that's part of where my education comes in online as well, because I want them to know what to look for, because the more aware we are, the more we can treat it earlier and the longer we get.
Awesome.
Longevity is built on fundamentals. Small decisions today shape quality of life tomorrow. Thanks for listening.